All right, so we're in Photoshop. So say we drew our art in Photoshop. Let me just open up that, what that might look like. And we did it at 300, DPI, PPI. We made it pretty big, so it's a pretty big piece of artwork, and we need to scale it down because if you look down here already, you're talking a huge file just for one illustration. So the first thing we want to do in Photoshop is trim it. We want to get rid of excess blank space where the pixels are. That makes the file size bigger. So in order to do that, what you want to do is go up to Image and Trim. And then on this screen here, we want to make sure Transparent Pixels is selected and that you've checked away Trim on these. So it should look like that. Hit OK and see how it automatically trimmed that down for us, and it made the file size smaller. But we're still at 300, DPI, PPI, and we need to make that smaller. So we need to resize it for digital planners. So on the next thing we want to do is go to Image Size. All right, here's going to tell me what I'm looking at right now. So my file size is over 560 megabytes just for one image, so we need to reduce that. So what do you need to do? You need to make sure resample and automatic is checked. You want to also make sure that your constraint aspect ratio is locked. The next thing I do is go to resolution and I hit 150, and automatically that's changing the height and stuff, and it's bringing my file size down. What I recommend is choose the longest side of your illustration and change it to 800 pixels. So for me, that's my height. My height is longer than my width. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to 800 pixels. And I'm going to say, okay. Now my image is smaller. So I'm at that's at 100. If I keep going up bigger, it's going to look pixelated, right? Because it's a raster-based image. All right, so now all we need to do is save it by going to File, Save As. Don't go to Export Save for Web because it's going to change it to 72 DPI, which is going to make the quality a little less. I would do it this way, honestly. I would just do a File, Save As for that reason. And then you can rename it. I'm just going to do D. PNG is the file size type you want. I'm going to choose Save. I usually just leave it at large. And then I'm going to close that and show you how big that file is. So when we look here, let's go into my samples folder. It's this D1 here. It's 213 kilobytes. So that's pretty reasonable. And that's going to look so much better in GoodNotes. So if I were to drag that sticker over into GoodNotes, it comes in really good, it scales pretty decently, and still scales really small and looks, pretty decent in our planners. So you're going to avoid that pixelation by doing that. Tedious, but not as tedious as the Procreate options that we have, but it's certainly doable. So if you like to use a combination of Procreate and Photoshop, you can certainly do that. Design in Procreate, and then come into Photoshop to do your file prep. That'd be a whole lot faster for you.